Good morning and welcome to Bad Bat Hikes. This is the last video in my three-part Big 3 AT23 series. Man, that's a mouthful. Today, I'm going to be talking about my sleep system that I plan on bringing with me on my AT23 thru hike. Starting on the ground and going up from there, the first piece of gear in my sleep system is my Outdoor Vitals 1/8 of an inch foam pad. Now, this pad is going to be mostly used for a sit pad. It's going to be strapped to the outside of my pack for easy access. But it's also going to be the first thing I put down when going to sleep, just for some added extra warmth. This pad is very similar, if not exactly the same, as the Gossamer Gear 1/8 of an inch foam pad, but I had been looking for that pad for months and it never seemed to be in stock. So I bought one from Outdoor Vitals instead. I got the short version, which is 20 inches wide and 40 inches long and weighs 1.5 ounces. You can't beat that when it comes to a sit pad. Another good use for this pad is it's going to keep my actual sleeping pad from sliding around on the bottom of my tent throughout the night if I set up, or I should say when I set up, on uneven ground along the trail. The next item in my sleep system is the Nemo Tensor Insulated. Now, when purchasing this product, you have a lot of options. Nemo offers this pad insulated or non-insulated in 4 different sizes: regular mummy, long wide, and regular. I got the regular insulated version. This pad has baffles on the inside, kind of looking like a waffle, to offer stability and weight distribution. It is advertised as being 3 inches of height. It also comes with a Vortex pump sack. Essentially, this is a sack that you can blow into to minimize the amount of breaths it takes to blow up your sleeping bag. Now, I personally am bringing a tiny air pump, which I talked about in my gear video, as opposed to the pump sack, but it is free of charge when you buy this pad, which is very nice of Nemo. The regular insulated comes in at 15 ounces with an R value of 4.2. The pad dimensions are 72 inches long and 20 inches across. Since there are so many different versions of this pad, every single pad has a different weight, size, dimensions, etc. So those are just the ones for the Nemo Tensor Regular Insulated. I find this pad to be extremely comfortable. It is a bit narrow, but for the weight savings and packable size savings, I figured I'd be okay on a 20-inch pad. The next item in my sleep system is my Storm Loft Outdoor Vitals top quilt. I went with a 0-degree top quilt for this hike because I am starting essentially in the dead of winter and I do sleep cold. I know 0 degrees is a bit overkill for the AT area, but I wanted to be warm at night. So I went with the 0-degree green version. They do color code their quilts, and green is the 0-degree color. I went with the regular length. They do offer long versions, but I'm only 5'8", so I didn't think the long version was quite necessary, so I figured I'd save a few ounces there. So the regular 0-degree top quilt is 1 pound 12 ounces. I do have thoughts about switching out this top quilt along the way. Once it hits summertime and I don't necessarily need a 0-degree quilt, I can swap it out for another quilt that I own that's a bit lighter with a few less degrees of warmth. But for the beginning, this is the quilt I'm going with. As far as features go on this quilt, there is a draft collar at the top to kind of seal the warmth in and prevent any drafts from coming in on really cold nights. There is a baffle design which evenly distributes the down within the quilt, and a sewn-in foot box to keep the warmth inside near my toes at night. When you get the quilt, it does include pad straps, which I do intend on bringing. I'm not normally a fan of pad straps because you kind of get tangled up, but I found after using this quilt, you get even more tangled up when you don't use them. So pad straps essentially just hug your quilt to the bottom of your sleeping pad so it doesn't slip around at nighttime. The shell of this bag is made with 10 denier ripstop nylon. The lining is also made out of 10 denier ripstop nylon. The insulation type is down. The fill is 800 fill power by their hyper dry water repellent down. And then the shape is mummy shaped. I am very excited to use this quilt to keep me warm in the backcountry. The last item in my sleep system is my Nemo Philo pillow. I went with the color Goodnight Gray, but it does come in other colors as well, such as Canopy Green, Koi Stripe, and Abyss. Some features of this pillow are its packability. Now, this certainly doesn't pack down as small as an inflatable pillow, but it does get pretty small when folded, and it actually helps me compress down my quilt when I'm stuffing it into the bottom of my bag. On the inside of this pillow, there is essentially a balloon that you can blow up that gives it 3 inches of height on top of the 1 inch of foam that's already in the pillow. It does come with a machine washable cover, which is awesome. So in the dead of summer, when I'm sweaty and gross, I can pop that cover in with the rest of my laundry to give myself a fresh pillowcase every time I do laundry in town. Some specs about this pillow: the claimed weight is 9.2 ounces. The thickness is 4 inches with that 3-inch balloon and that 1 inch of foam. There is an internal stuff sack if you do want to stuff in extra clothes or whatnot. Instead of blowing it up, you can, to make it more squishy like an actual pillow as opposed to a balloon. I didn't mention this earlier, but both my sleeping pad and this pillow, since they are both by Nemo, are protected by the Nemo lifetime guarantee. Essentially, if anything were to happen to my gear, whether it be a puncture in my sleeping pad or some sort of rip or tear in my pillow, I can send it back to Nemo for them to either repair or replace it. This is very comforting to know because I will be taking both of these pieces of gear on a very long journey, which things are bound to happen along the way. Hopefully not, but if it does, I know that Nemo's got my back. So that is everything included in my sleep system that I am going to be bringing with me on my AT thru hike. Thank you for watching part 3 of my 3-part series about my big 3 that I'm bringing with me on trail. If you didn't catch part 1, where I talked about my backpack, or part 2, where I talked about my shelter, be sure to give those a watch. If you want to follow along on the rest of my journey on the AT, be sure to subscribe here on YouTube, and you can follow along with me on Instagram as well at Bad Bat Hikes. For now, happy trails!